Howdy, readers. I'm Jason, and this is Chapter and Verse. And as you can see, I've got my crocheting out, which can only mean one thing, that it is Sunday night, and I have just finished watching, with Kelly, part 2 of the new PBS Little Women. So I wanted to just pop downstairs here into the library and share my thoughts on it with y'all. I talked to Jasmine from Jasmines Reads earlier in the week about it, and she had seen it on British television last autumn. And if I remember right, she said that she felt like the second half of it was stronger. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jasmine, but and I would agree. I would agree with that. Partly because we don't have the actress who is playing Amy and who must be 25 years old, essentially pretending to be a 12-year-old girl. That was a big part of the problem at the first half of the film. But yeah, just like with the first half of the miniseries, God, there were beautiful things about it, and there were really horribly judged decisions on the part of the filmmakers. I just don't understand, right? So again, just like in the first half of the film, there was one scene where they took the music score, which was beautiful throughout, 95% beautiful throughout, and then did something completely anachronistic with it, just totally odd, right? I don't remember exactly what was going on in the scene. I think Joe was writing, and but Kelly and I are watching it. We're watching the film, and all of a sudden Joe's writing, and the score switches into ukulele and electric bass mode. This is 19th century Massachusetts. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody out there knows the history of the ukulele, but I'm guessing that was not. It's just not a common instrument in Concord. Roundabouts the Civil War. I could be wrong. I mean, I know there are mandolins, but that didn't sound like a mandolin to me. That sounded like a little bit like that Somewhere Over the Rainbow that was really, really big a few years back. Went viral. Anyway, so that was one of the unfortunate moments this evening. But I mean, on a larger scale, I mean, if we look at the performances, right? Emily Watson, she was good in the first half. She was really extraordinary. The screenwriter did really great things with the character of Marmee. I mean, talk about a character that just feels fully realized, even just in her lines. I mean, they just did a really good job with Marmee on the page. And Emily Watson, yeah, she came on set and she said, "All right, I'm Emily Watson. I'm gonna handle this." And man, she did. She nailed that part. The most moving scene, bar none, in this version of Little Women was the scene where Marmee finds out. Right, so Beth and Joe essentially tell Marmee that Beth's not going to make it. That she's lost the battle, and that she's gonna be gone soon. She's gonna die. And Emily Watson leaves the room and goes into her bedroom, shuts the door. Joe, of course, follows her, and oh my God, Emily Watson's character, right, Marmee, just breaks down. Like, it has destroyed her. This news has destroyed her. And, I mean, Kelly was just crying her eyes out. And I shed a tear as well. A little tear down my right cheek. And here's the thing, right, about Little Women. So, Beth's death scene, right, which comes shortly thereafter, that should be the scene. That should be the emotional heart of the film, okay? The hinge on which everything else turns. The moment that makes it clear to Joe what she should be doing creatively with her life. But it's not. It just isn't. I mean, it was well done. Beth's death scene in this, it was well done. But again, right, I'm sorry to harp on this, but the 1994 film, that scene is one of the great. It's one of the most moving scenes ever. When they filmed that, this is a little known piece of trivia here. I think I learned this on the commentary track, maybe on the DVD of the 1994 Little Women. When Gillian Armstrong shot that scene, so it's Winona Ryder, it's Claire Danes, just the two of them, and God, it must have just been emotionally exhausting to film. And they did it, and I think they did it in one take. And then when the film was developed, because you got to remember this was before the days of digital shooting, when the film was developed, I think when Gillian Armstrong was looking at the dailies, and there were spots on the celluloid. And so Gillian Armstrong knew that they were going to have to reshoot it. So she had to tell Winona Ryder and Claire Danes. And at least one of the two actresses was pissed that they had to reshoot this. They were upset or angry just because it had been emotionally draining to do that scene. And they really feel like they had nailed it. And clearly Gillian Armstrong felt like they had nailed it as well because they didn't shoot anymore. But anyway, they had to go back the next day and do it again. And that's what we have in the film. But yeah, I mean, that scene in the 1994 film, it just tears your heart out, man. Like, I mean, it tears your heart out. And not even just the moment itself or the scene itself, right? I mean, Claire Danes, just beautiful lines, right? A line invented by the screenwriter Robin Swycord for that adaptation, right? Where Claire Danes, as Beth, talks about she likes being at home, right? But she doesn't like being left behind. And then she tells Joe, she says, "Now I'm the one going ahead." And I just got goosebumps right now, just saying that line into the camera for you. It's moving. And then she dies. Okay, and then we see that beautiful moment where Hannah is, their cook, their servant is kind of scattering the rose petals across Beth's dolls. It's beautiful, just beautifully done, and the scene was not handled well like that at all in this version. But there were other really nice things about it. There were these kind of long, impressionistic almost sequences in the film. These sort of lovely montages that worked. Actually, it was a way to take kind of longer stretches of the novel and compress them in the adaptation. And sometimes that doesn't work well at all. It worked pretty well, I felt like, in Little Women tonight. But then there were other things that just didn't work at all. Like the girl who plays Amy, I was hoping that her performance in the second half, because she's playing an adult Amy now, I thought it was going to be better. I thought it was going to be more memorable. I thought it would ring truer. Let's say that. But it just didn't, right? And then Laurie's over in Europe with her, and when they get news of Beth's death, and then we have this scene where Laurie's telling her, like, "I want to tell you to cry," and Amy's like, well, I can't, and she's got this weird smile on her face and this kind of absent look in her eyes, and I'm thinking, gosh, she seems like a sociopath or something. It's just a bad performance. And the guy who plays Laurie, frankly, it's not a great performance either. And Maya Hawke, right, the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, as Jo. There were times where she was quite good. I thought all of her scenes with Professor Bear, I thought were really well done. I believed the chemistry between them. I thought the scene where she's taken her first story in to try to be published, and Laurie's waiting for her out in the street to surprise her with oranges, and she comes outside and she tells him that she's taken the story in and it's been accepted, and he asks her, "Is it this one?" And she says, "No, it's this one," and she starts describing what it is. Her, like, that part of that scene, right, her enthusiasm over her work, is just beautifully handled. That was the best moment of her performance, of Maya Hawke's performance. And then in that very same scene, after she runs through her excitement about the story, then she starts philosophizing, and God, it just flatlines. The performance just goes totally flat, just like a can of seltzer water's been left out on the counter. I just all the bubbles were gone out of the performance, and there were multiple stretches like that, and I'm just like, good Lord, like it's called Little Women, man. I mean, the actresses who are cast in these four principal roles should be hitting it out of the park, and they don't for some reason. They just don't. Emily Watson, as their mother, gives the only really, really stunning performance in the film. I mean, I'd like to see her up for an Emmy and a Golden Globe for this. But, yeah, nobody else. And I'm not sure why. So, when all is said and done, yeah, really mixed feelings on this adaptation of Little Women. I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10, I would say, on IMDb when I vote for it tonight. Largely disappointing, which, yeah, I mean, it's a story, if not a novel, that I deeply, deeply love. I really like the novel quite a lot too, but yeah, it could have, and should have been handled much more delicately. I think there are plenty of other things I could say about it, but I've got a little bit of crocheting to get done before bed, and some reading, of course, to get done. And this is BookTube. We don't read, we've got nothing to talk about. So I'll leave it there. But thanks for joining me, and I will see you later in the week. All right? Goodbye.